Welcome to the Two Wealth Show, a show that shares how you can create real wealth for you and your family. I'm one of your hosts, Justin Bogard, and my co-host is Elizabeth Sickles, aka Super E. I am a real estate note investor, specializing in performing residential real estate debt. I find the deals, acquire them for my own portfolio, as well as educate investors while walking them through the process of owning a real estate note. My co-host Super E, a real estate investor, specializing in short-term rentals and the management of them. She connects investors with short-term tenants and manages everything in between. Our show is sponsored by PATHNOTES and Elizabeth MAORA. You can find out more information by visiting our websites at brightpathnotes.com and elizabethmaora.com. Hey everybody, this is Justin Bogard, co-host on the Two Wealth Show, and today is episode number 18. Elizabeth.
Woohoo!
18. Guess what?
Hello.
We have over 500 downloads.
That is awesome. Thank you to everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's been fun, and I look forward to many more. So, Elizabeth, go ahead and introduce yourself. I kind of stepped on your toes a little bit preemptively because I was so excited about having 500 downloads.
Absolutely. So I'm Elizabeth with Elizabeth MAORA, and we have a very special guest today. So this is the first of many. We are on site at a project. I'm doing the project management. Patrick is our special guest today. He is a general contractor. So if you are not on the video right now, we would really encourage you to check out our YouTube page because you will see this house, which is in complete disarray. And so we're really grateful not only to have Patrick on the project, but obviously on our podcast today. So welcome, Patrick.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Patrick, for being on our show.
I have to say though that it's in disarray from the old contractor.
Yes.
Just took this job on. So if you see code violations anywhere or the pink paper in the window, that's not mine.
That's awesome because you do things the right way.
That's right.
That's why I recommended him, and that's why he was hired for this. And so just to know, he's the CEO and founder of StolCo Designs.
You got it.
So welcome, Patrick, to the show.
Thank you.
So, Elizabeth, is this a property that you have?
This is a property that we will have, yes. So just a quick backstory on this, and we'll get right into the interview with Patrick. The clients bought this property basically a year ago. They bought it in October of 2019. They hired a contractor. This was a complete gut job, and there were a lot of issues. They brought me in May to do a construction consult. And then there were still a lot of issues with their previous contractors, so they asked me to do the project management. And then I brought in Patrick. So because we partner with people that do things right. And so our clients are super happy. We've made even more changes to the layout to make it more conducive to what's going on right now. I'll let Patrick talk about that. But so it's just a super exciting project all the way around.
Fantastic. Patrick, why don't you kind of lightly introduce yourself after Super E came and got some information about you?
Yeah. So let's see, StolCo Designs. You can look us up and find all the information on social and stuff to kind of see some videos of what we do. We specialize in investor remodeling. We cater to out-of-state investors. Just happens to be a lot of our client base, but we do lots of the big, nasty, like gross gut job type projects that other contractors don't want or can't handle. And we also do a lot of like room additions, stuff like that. We work with a lot of BRRRR investors, the refinance. So they're looking for ways to add value and push that ARV up. So we go in and add a bedroom or a bathroom or change the layout or something to make it, the ARV higher so they can get a good cash out refi on it and hire us for more projects.
Absolutely. So do you work mainly in Indiana?
So we work, I'll say 90% of our projects are within the 465 loop. We can be convinced to venture out of there, but there's just so much work in the loop that's just, it's where we've made our home. So we do all over Indianapolis though.
And
Patrick, how did you
that's really.
I'm sorry. For those of you that are listening and watching, there is kind of an internet delay right now, even though we're a few miles apart, it seems like. Gotta love the internet and Zoom. I was going to say, Patrick, how did you get started in this business?
Great question. So I got started in the real estate business, decades ago. I was literally raised in it. I'm from Southern Indiana. My father and mother and aunts and uncles, grandma and grandpa, everybody was buying real estate down in Columbus. So I have very fond memories growing up, helping Dad and watching Dad work and build his rental portfolio down there. So that was, like the real kernel that started everything. And, since then I grew up working for the family business, so to speak, working on houses, being a handyman, that sort of thing. Then I went to Purdue for a construction management degree. Yes. And then my wife and I spent about 10 years traveling the country with my old job. I worked for a really large worldwide general contractor. And once we had our two little boys, it was we figured it was time to move back to the Midwest. And so that's when we made real estate investing a full-time gig. So that's really where the full-time thing started, was real estate investing. We were buying and selling, flipping our own homes, our own investments. So I have a lot of experience on the investor side, but then kind of one by one, the general contracting thing picked up more and more, because it sounds so simple, but it was just hard to find a good, honest contractor out there. And I've been to court with them on the investor side more than once, so I know what that's like. And so we had a lot of people approaching us about doing the jobs for them. So things have picked up and up. And so this year we'll do somewhere around 35 to 40 remodels.
Wow.
Nice.
So we've been very busy. We have full-time project manager checking on jobs. We have lots of W-2 employees and stuff. And we work with a lot of subcontractors as well. So it's kind of ballooned up, and I mentioned it earlier, but we created a name for ourselves because it doesn't scare me at all. It doesn't scare the guys that work for us to go into a house that looks like this. Even though the internet connection isn't great, we jump straight in and take it on and just run headfirst into it. So
it looks great. It looks definitely livable as is right now.
Did you see the open floor? Open floor plan here.
Imagine a beautiful master bedroom right behind where Patrick is staying, because that's what it's going to be.
Nice.
We should do a follow-up interview when it's done.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Cool.
That'd be incredible. Those of you that are listening on our podcast, go over to Elizabeth MAORA's YouTube channel or Bright Path Notes YouTube channel so you can actually see the video. And Elizabeth, can you hold up your camera a little bit so we can see a little bit of the construction project and what's going on?
Sure. So this is going to be the master bedroom and bathroom. This area is going to be a really gorgeous kitchen. And so this is just a landing area. That's a bathroom where it's framed in. And then this is going to be a dining room, and then living room where all of that lumber is. So
Nice.
And what's really great, because Patrick has so much experience, is that when he came in here with us 2 weeks ago to look out the layout again and just see how we can optimize it even more, is that somebody that has a lot of experience and has a lot of good ideas, we made changes based on some really cool stuff that Patrick brought to the table. So it's really nice whenever you are working with someone to have a really collaborative relationship. So it's super key, and especially if you're an out-of-state investor and you don't know the area, you don't know what in that particular neighborhood is going to sell.
Yep. And then throw on top of all of that the short-term rental aspect.
Yes.
And so then when we start the collaboration thing early, we can catch some of the things that, if you've ever stayed at, this is one of my favorites, when you've ever stayed in an Airbnb and you're like, I wish there was a plug right here where I could put my phone in.
Absolutely.
We can take care of that stuff while the walls are all torn out. So that's been cool too. Like we figured out a way to make a second master suite on the second floor, things like that. That just, I think from Elizabeth's standpoint is going to help give her a little edge when it comes to putting it on the market short term.
Absolutely. So this is going to be, it's going to be a 3-3 and with the possibility of an easy 4-3. So 4-bedroom, 3-bath or 3-bedroom, 3-bath. So yeah.
That's awesome.
So Patrick, it's going to be really cool. Do you want to talk to us kind of about, you mentioned your 2 boys and you grew up in the real estate world. So how are you incorporating that with your family?
Yes. So you asked about things that I would be interested in talking about. And I was thinking about it earlier today even. And just thinking about the show, what we're going to talk about. And I don't think I even realized how important this is to me. But so I have 2 little boys. They're 3 and 5 right now. I know what it meant to me as a kid when I used to go to the job sites with my dad. And he did a lot of work himself. So I would watch him stay up late, painting rental houses and fixing toilets and all that stuff. And he, God bless him, he would take me with him and I'd probably just fall asleep on the floor or whatever. But, in hindsight, it meant a lot to me. And this is just kind of a unique thing, but I'm in a group at church that's just young dads. Right. And so we're always sitting around talking about how really, especially in today's, climate and all the craziness of 2020, how important it is for dads to kind of step up and be good role models to their kids, whether it be sons or daughters or whatever. And so we spent a lot of time talking about that in this little group. And, inevitably it always comes up. It's difficult to spend quality time with your kids because there's time constraints, right? Dads are out trying to be breadwinners and spending a lot of time in the office or maybe doing side hustles, stuff like that. And so whenever I hear the complaint or I'll call it an excuse of I don't have time, I love to challenge it, play devil's advocate a little bit because I don't think it's as much as you don't have time. It's that there's just a missing link of being a little creative to make the time. And so that's what I try to do with my 2 boys is probably 1 or 2 days a month. They come to work with dad and we drive around and we look at the jobs and, Maxwell seems to always find like a stick or piece of wood that he wants to take home as a souvenir. And, we always go to the Steer Inn restaurant on the east side and get our blueberry pancakes. But I think it's cool and it's a creative little way to, spend more time with your kids and still a little bit of that hard work or that business mentality into your kids at a young age. Because for anybody that has kids, just like me, you're probably always surprised at the stuff that gets regurgitated back to you like 5 years after the fact. And you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you learned that when I was saying it all the time. And so that's a little bit of what we're doing now is kind of forcing that quality time with the boys and getting out and showing them what it's like to run a business and rebuild houses. So
that's awesome, Patrick.
I'm a little more passionate about it than I even think I realized I was.
And, this is a great point so no matter where our listeners and our viewers are in their real estate world, that if you do become full-time or more part-time, whether you're a parent or even if you're a grandparent and you just want to spend more time with your kids or grandkids, it's a great way to be able to teach them life lessons and business skills and spend time with them all in one. So just having that ability as an owner is fantastic.
Yeah. We have some Guatemalan guys that work on one of the crews. And so every time Maxwell shows up, they teach him a new Spanish phrase.
Aww.
And I'm like, where are you going to get that? Where else can you get that?
That's awesome.
Kidding.
So can you tell us about some of the stuff too that you bring to the table as a GC, because not only are you a GC, but you're also an investor.
Yeah. So these conversations have picked up a lot now that we're vendors with Syria. So our reach has gotten a little more, outstretched. But I tell people I'm still an active investor and obviously running a active general contracting business. So I see the good and bad of it all the time. And I've been totally screwed over by both sides in both scenarios. Like I've been to court as a contractor and I've been to court as an investor. So it offers up a really unique perspective on some of this stuff. But I mean, just a few hours ago, earlier today, got a phone call from a local investor who had been in one of our webinar training things with SUPERE. And it was like, how would you handle this contractor that isn't doing what he's supposed to do? And so we had a nice long conversation. We didn't have a solution like per se, but it was like, hey, I've been on the receiving end of that as a contractor, and just don't be too quick to blame the contractor for something. Like, this is your project just as much as it is the GC's project. So like, if there's something you care about, in this case, it was the levelness of the floors. And like, if that's really important to you, it is also your obligation to bring that up to the contractor. Don't just assume that that's going to happen. So, and I think when I brought that up, it was like, oh, yeah, like a lot of times the investor has more at stake than the contractor.
Yeah.
It's always a surprise to me how quickly some investors are to just give the reins over. And of course, I feel like in my scenario, like, that's cool. That's great because I know what I'm doing. A lot of times that's not the case. I think that's what a lot of our clients like, is that, they can ask a question. If it was your rental house, what flooring would you put in? Would you put a dishwasher in? Well, I don't know. Let's talk about the price point. Let's talk about what kind of tenants you want to bring in, that sort of thing. So just a little, I guess, added value add, to the services we provide.
And one of the things, especially with this property, that's a huge, a great thing, a great positive for Patrick, is that has intimate knowledge for the permitting process. Oh. So especially because we're in Irvington.
Irvington loves their windows. Oh my goodness. If you're buying investment property in Irvington, check the windows first, always. And I mean, again, it was born out of that experience of being on both sides, because for a long time when we were flipping our own properties, I was pulling permits as the homeowner. And so I didn't want to pay somebody, and I knew I could figure it out. So I just ran headfirst into the process many times to learn what it really takes. And so now we've done, we do the bedroom and bathroom addition thing a lot, right? So we have that down pat. We had some current out of country clients where they bought a side-by-side duplex in Fountain Square, and we went through the full process of dividing that parcel up and splitting it so that they can actually sell them as townhomes after the fact, which is a big thing around the country. Not quite in Indiana yet. We're getting there, but just to go through it and learn some of that stuff, has been super helpful, because then to step into a project like this is super unique. I have no idea what it looked like before I saw it a few weeks ago. And so to be able to reach out and work with the city and know kind of what they're going to ask for some of this stuff has been, hugely beneficial.
What's your favorite part about being a GC?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
This gets to the why of things, right? Like, why do any of us have our businesses that we have? I think I fell into the GC thing because that's my personality. I'm hands-on. I like to build stuff. I've always been like the creative mind, that sort of thing. And also a little bit of the analytical, right? Which you need to kind of run a business and to also buy and sell real estate. But I'll tell you the one thing that I love about it at the end of the day is, like, there's a couple facets to it, but we have like 10 guys working for us who show up every day and swing hammers and work hard and sweat, and at the end of the day provide an income for their family. I think that's so cool that I'm able to step up and kind of in a way help provide for their family. And then also the investors are out making a living for themselves. right? They're buying rentals or flipping houses or whatever to provide income for them. And then at the end of the day, someone's going to move into the house. Like, that's just so cool to me. And so this heap of lumber that's all discombobulated is eventually, people are going to come to Indianapolis and they're going to stay here for a weekend.
Yep.
And then they're going to be like, oh, that cool place on, over in Irvington, it had 2 master suites and a 7-foot kitchen island, like so cool. So I just get a kick out of all that stuff. Like, at the end of the day, I love to think about that part of it.
That's awesome.
So speaking of this project, Elizabeth, do you have a name for it yet?
Oh,
the big reveal.
We're going to wait on that. Just a smidge.
Come on. I want it to be, you heard this first on the Two Wealth Show. That's what I want it to be.
So it is on Good. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And we're going to do some special things in the house as well. So I actually have 2 consultants coming in it's a 3-hour drive for them to work on some of the coloring and stuff. So it's just, I'm excited. I'm very excited for this project.
Sweet.
It's going to be a good one.
That's right. And Patrick, do you want to tell, especially for those that are able to view this, about our timeline for this, like when it's going to be done?
Yeah. So I'm not going to say anything on camera though, because I can't be held responsible. No, I mean, these are a little bit tricky. So like right now, we've come in and we've started cleaning things up and doing stuff that is going to have to happen no matter what, right? It doesn't matter if the city of Irvington is going to make me replace the windows or not. Like, I still have to replace the floor joists because they're just missing. So we're in here doing some work, but projects like these tend to have a slower start just because we have to get all the paperwork straightened out, and we know how the city moves on that sort of thing. And then, plop the whole COVID thing on top of it. Everything's a little slower. But, a rule of thumb maybe that people that are listening can use is in our experience, your contractor should be moving at about, I'll say $6,000 to $8,000 a week. So to say an $80,000 remodel should be about a 10-week project.
Okay.
Is a good rule of thumb. So that's, I pour through this data from old projects and stuff, and those are some of the numbers that we've run through. The bigger the job, usually the faster or the higher that dollar amount goes, maybe closer to 10 or 11,000 a week. But yeah, so that's about where we'll be on this one.
That's a really good metric. I've actually never heard of that metric before, to give yourself a projection of how long it's going to take. That's pretty cool. I'm going to remember that.
And it comes remarkably close too.
Yeah.
That's the coolest part. Like, afterwards, I always look back at my notes to see what I told the client. And I'm like, 5 weeks. Cool. We did it. 5 weeks.
This does not include, though, permitting issues. Right. That,
yeah. I mean, the one I was talking about a minute ago with the side-by-side duplex that we're replatting, that took 3 months to get all the paperwork straight with the city before we were like cleared. So yeah.
That just because it's Irvington, or just in general, if you have challenges with paperwork, it could take that long with permitting?
A lot of it depends on the scope you're doing. So like that duplex, it was in Fountain Square. So, you've got the city's attention because it's in a highly remodeled neighborhood. We're changing the piece of land. So, I mean, that's an undertaking to begin with. And then you throw things in there, like you need to send a surveyor out to get a detailed survey on the parcel. That takes 2 weeks. And then, I think for that one, because we're building a garage also, I think we had to pull like 8 permits for that property. So just a lot of documentation and back and forth, getting drawings right and all that stuff.
So when do you have time to do your own investing? It sounds like the GC work keeps you pretty tight.
We still actively invest. We're in kind of a niche deal for our own investments. We like to buy low income type housing and basically get them rent ready and sell them off to other investors. That's kind of been a sweet spot for us about the last year. And we've been having some fun dabbling in direct mail and doing our own marketing, that sort of thing. That's the blessing and the curse with real estate is you can do everything and all of it, or you can just pick one little niche and go for it. So right now we're just having fun, testing everything out.
Fantastic. Patrick, how can people get a hold of you if they're looking for help remodeling or fixing a project in Indianapolis or the Indiana area?
So probably the easiest is to go to the website, StolCodesigns.com, STOLCO designs.com, because there you'll find the links to the social media pages and all that. So if you're looking for some videos, you want to see what we're working on, the types of projects we do, check out the social media. My direct line is all over there too, so people can reach out directly. I'm always driving around town. I'm always looking at new projects. In fact, after this call, I'm going next door to see if I can buy that house.
Oh,
so
nice.
We're always out and about doing stuff.
Always an opportunity.
Let me offer this up if we have a minute, because this is the question I get a lot, is how the process works. So especially out-of-state buyers, right? If you don't already have boots on the ground, so to speak, find your property, get my information from the website or social, whatever, and send me the information that you have. So whether it's a listing from the MLS or videos and pictures from wholesalers, whatever, send it over to me. And we do a real quick consult phone call to just get a ballpark idea. We've done a lot of these projects, so I can usually get within about 10 or 15%, looking through a video, that sort of thing. If it checks out, if it's still a deal in the investor's eyes, then we schedule the time to actually go out and put eyes on the property and look in the crawl space and the attic and all that stuff, and do, a full estimate from that point. And we always recommend to still get an inspection.
Right.
It's the easiest and best $400 you'll ever spend, because I'm 6'3", I'm not lightweight, I'm not going to crawl through the crawl space. So that's what the general process looks like. So please don't just, send me 10 addresses and ask me to go look at them all.
Right.
But out and we can start sifting through some of them, because, probably 50% of them after that first phone call, it's like, well, that's not a deal.
Okay.
So we can knock those out of, the equation quickly.
Fantastic. Well, Patrick, we surely appreciate you being on our show today for episode number 18. SUPERE has a lot of confidence you're going to finish that project by next week. So it looks like you got a lot of work to do.
We're shooting for Christmas.
You're cash flowing by Christmas, SUPERE. You heard it.
That's right. Cash flowing by Christmas.
I should have said that on a recording.
Merry Christmas.
It's out there. It's out there now. But yeah, Patrick, you've been a great guest today. We appreciate you being on. Thanks for shouting out your information to us. And Elizabeth, do you have any closing thoughts for today?
I would say while it's still fall before the snow flies, just enjoy, get out as much as you can with the sunshine.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. I'm Justin Bogard from Bright Path Notes.
And I'm Elizabeth with Elizabeth MAORA.
All right, guys, don't forget to check out this video on our YouTube channels, Bright Path Notes or Elizabeth MAORA's YouTube channel. Till next time, guys. See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
The
Two Wealth Show is produced by Justin Bogard and SUPERE, sponsored by Bright Path Notes and Elizabeth MAORA. Thanks for listening and watching for our show.